My name is Dave Harker. I'm the director of the Collaborative for Community Engagement here at CC. I arrived in this position in late November, and I'm lucky enough to have started working on this challenge as pretty much my first big project. So it's particularly rewarding to see it all come together in partnership with the Innovation Institute, working and building this as a pretty exciting undertaking. So the teams we'll hear from tonight first submitted their rough drafts, their ideas, in late December and pretty much went on break right after. So it's really amazing to see how far these projects and these ideas have come in a pretty short amount of time. It's been a pleasure to see these visions that these students are really excited about really blossom. And it's a pleasure to have you here to be a part of that. So I also wanted to thank these students for their hard work, for the community partners that have put in a lot of time and work to come together with the students. And I'm really excited to see where these projects are going to go from here after tonight. So I'll hand it over to Patrick Baltima, the Executive Director of the Innovation Institute, to give you a quick rundown of the evening. Then we'll hear from Addison Petty, also from the Collaborative for Community Engagement, who's going to give a quick overview of the SOUP project and the Food Coalition here at Colorado College. So thank you again, and you'll hear from me a little bit later again.
Thanks, Dave. So this has been an exciting and a fun process. You know, at the core, innovation is really about having great ideas, putting them into action to make a difference in the world. And I think what you're going to see tonight is exactly in that spirit. And one of the things that has been a real pleasure for me in working with the teams and seeing is the way that we've kind of gotten out of our own bubble. You know, one of the challenges at a place like CC is you can be pretty insular and have lots of ideas about how things should be outside. And I'm really proud of the work that the teams have done to engage with partners. And you're going to be hearing more about that, and you'll clearly see it in their presentations. So here's what's going to happen. To keep the evening going quickly, we'll have each team come up. They will do a 10-minute presentation, or a maximum of 10 minutes, and then 5 minutes of time for Q&A with the judging panel. I'll introduce the judges, and we'll have some comments as each team is staging up and down. So it'll be a fast-moving evening. At the end of the 4 presentations, the judging panel will go off and make a determination of how the funds are going to be invested. I think, you know, we've pre-announced that there's $20,000 of seed funds, and really the whole approach of this is these are funds to be the kind of start, the seed funds and investment to make these ideas come to life. So this isn't really a pitch competition. This is not a shiny object competition. This is about making a real difference in the world. And so thrilled at the work that the teams have done. But remember, this is just the starting point. So after the judges kind of convene off and make their decisions about investments of seed funds and that kind of stewardship commitment with the teams, we'll come back and we'll announce those results. So that is the kind of formal portion of the program. Now I know that there's festivities and other things that are coming tonight, and so a great evening of celebration, but that's how the evening will go. But to kick things off, we wanted to have Addison come and give a little bit of perspective on the SOUP Challenge project and put it in the kind of the broader perspective of the legacy here at Colorado College. Addison.
Thank you, Patrick. And welcome, friends. Student leaders and I have really been looking forward to sharing this day with you for what feels like now a very long time. So we gather at this year's Empty Bowls to celebrate and to build upon the Community Kitchen's 23-year legacy and to imagine creative new ways of addressing poverty, hunger, and homelessness in the local community. So first I'd like to extend a special thanks to President Tiefenthaler for her support of these efforts, along with the generations now of Tiger students, faculty, and staff who have made this work possible at the Community Kitchen Club for all of these years. I'd also like to extend really sincere gratitude to our student interns this year. Jess Worley for overseeing the Community Kitchen Club, Erica Berglund for helping us to plan this beautiful gathering, and the rest of the Food Coalition leadership team, Sophie, Jonah, Zoe, Kira, for their dedication and skill this year. So what began as a few students' effort to feed our neighbors in need more than 2 decades ago has now grown into a campus-wide conversation about how Colorado College can deepen its impact in the local community. And these conversations are really more relevant now than they've ever been before. 1 in 7 Coloradans are facing food insecurity, and nearly 13% of Colorado families are living in poverty. So while the community kitchen is closing its doors in its current form on May 10th, what's emerged from this transition is an exciting new leadership development program called the Soup Project. So the Soup Project is a recent collaboration between the Food Coalition and the Arts for Social Change Coalition at CC. And when I first inherited the Community Kitchen Club as an advisor here at CC, I knew they were going to have to make some pretty radical changes in order to be a success. So we proposed the Community Kitchen's first ever 3-year strategic plan to make improvements across 3 critical areas. First, we knew that we needed to strengthen and enhance student leadership and skill development. We needed to expand our programs and services, and we needed to deepen our engagement with community partners so that we could really become strong allies and advocates in this work together within our community. At the same time that we started to think through some of these challenges for the community kitchen, we also began to think through some related challenges for other student groups that are advised through the collaborative. So student leaders from the Colorado College Farm and Greenhouse, Food Rescue, Real Food Challenge, Good Food Club, they all approached me around the same time in 2013 for some help to collaborate. They said that we had at the time as many as 10 different student groups with an interest in local food, sustainability, and a vibrant economy, but that there were gaps in our communication. We felt like we were competing for resources, and we really needed a better way to organize and to deepen our impact collectively. So that's how the Food Coalition was born nearly 2 years ago. Getting my pages mixed up here. So the goal of the Food Coalition, as it exists today, is to amplify and support the knowledge, passion, and skills of CC students who do share that interest in local food. But beyond bringing together like-minded student groups, the Food Coalition has also become the place to anchor the related interests of faculty, staff, and our community partnerships. And the Food Coalition leadership team is really laying the foundation for our success. They're helping us to create an annual report, helping us to curate our community partnerships, and co-facilitating workshops and service days, both on campus and in the community. I knew we were on the kind of right track with this work last year when student leaders from the Food Coalition were asked not just to attend, but to co-plan and facilitate the Real Food Challenge Regional Food Summit in Santa Fe last year. And this is where student leaders really started to trace the connections between local issues like hunger and homelessness to systemic conversations around community health, our relationship to local farmers and big agriculture, or the importance of food in shaping and celebrating our cultural differences. And I have to say, even from kind of a personal perspective, that the most heartening thing throughout this whole process is that none of those topics were ever too big for our Tigers to tackle. Students really continued to dig in deeply and diligently into these dialogues. So after we got back from the Regional Food Summit, we had all these exciting new ideas, this new information, and we started to wonder how we were going to make it more accessible to folks on the ground every day once we got back to CC. So we started with this idea that maybe if food is the what, perhaps art is the how. We decided to combine our passion for food justice with our interest in arts for social change at the Community Kitchen Club. We started simple by buying tables and art supplies. Then we brought in poets. We had ukulele jams. We started branching out to see what was working in other communities. We found great examples like the Homeless Reach Studio in Denver, the Lead With Your Heart project working to prevent LGBTQ youth suicides. And then we started to realize that there was a lot of similar really important work going on in our own community at places like Cottonwood, Here, and other organizations. Then, in October, we invited Theater of the Oppressed New York to come for a 3.5-day block break retreat to explore how community storytelling and activist theater can generate grassroots solutions to complex problems like racism, transphobia, police brutality, even poverty and hunger in our own communities. And what we learned throughout this process was that change really happens by building relationships, that we had to have that human interaction and that human connection with one another in order to be able to seek solutions out and in order to empower community voice. We've left this project really confident that if we continue to lead by building those relationships, we're also going to be able to build strong, lasting legacies. One of our more recent blessings was when the community leaders from the Green Cities Coalition asked the collaborative to help facilitate a half-day Pikes Peak Food Shed Forum at Pikes Peak Community College. And it was telling that this time we were asked to come in and facilitate, not so much for our expertise on food, but for our expertise on leadership. And by utilizing the SOUP project's new resources on collective impact, theory of change, how to facilitate collaborative programming, we were able to guide a room of nearly 60 students, farmers, entrepreneurs, policymakers, and activists to propose 8 strategies for improving food access, health equity, and the local economy by focusing on these 4 areas: access, education, infrastructure, and policy. So I'm very excited to see where our student leaders continue to contribute and learn from these projects, as well as those that each of our teams will present here today. So with that said, welcome again. It's time to celebrate. Thank you to our esteemed judges, our Tiger teams, our friends and our family for being here with us this evening.
Okay, first up is mobile meals. And again, the format is they have 10 minutes to present. I'll keep the timer and then 5 minutes of Q&A. And so take it away, mobile meals.
Hello, Empty Bowls. We are Mobile Meals, and our mission is creating resilient community through healthy food and education. The way we want to achieve that mission is providing a free meal to the communities in need and using that meal as an opportunity to engage them in cooking classes and gardening education.
So before we actually tell you about how we're going to do that, I'd like you all to take the time to imagine the situation of a 14-year-old who may be coming to the Hillside Community Center, and the only thing that she's eaten in the last 24 hours is a bag of Cheetos and a Coca-Cola. As Addison mentioned, 1 in 7 Coloradans face food insecurity. This is an issue that is all too relevant in our community and all too relevant in the area around the Hillside Community Center. Hillside Community Center is situated in a neighborhood where I want to draw your attention to the blue dots. 68 to 94% of students enrolled in schools rely on free and reduced lunch, meaning that these families really depend on their schools, they depend on their community centers to get food. It's also a very poor neighborhood. There are 2 very large apartment complexes right next to the community center, both of which are Section 8 housing units. And a lot of people live there, but despite that, there aren't really many food outlets in the area. In fact, the nearest food distributor of any kind is a 7-Eleven that is a half-mile away from the community center. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of families rely on to get most of their food. So in addition to not having food outlets within their community, these families also have very low access to transportation to get to grocery stores in other neighborhoods. This map shows services relative to vehicle access, and where the Hillside Community Center is located, 16 to 31% of families don't have access to a vehicle, meaning that they don't have their own car, and they also don't have a friend who they can call upon to borrow a car and drive to the grocery store to get their food.
So, when we were brainstorming our ideas for this project, we were wondering how can we best connect to communities that are low income and low access, and how can we connect them to local, fresh, healthy food? And we figured, why not just bring it to them? And that's exactly what our project does. Mobile Meals uses a food truck The food truck is called The Local, and it's owned by Seeds Community Cafe. Hi, Lynn. Thanks for being here. And this food truck is fully equipped with a kitchen, and we'll use this food truck to bring rescued food to low-income, low-access communities like Hillside, where we'll provide them with a free weekly meal made by CC volunteers and community members. We'll also distribute our ingredients for that meal, so community members will have the ingredients to cook that meal themselves. We'll also be providing cooking classes, so if community members don't have the skills to cook those foods, they'll be able to. And we'll also be providing community gardening classes. And so as you can see, we're taking a holistic approach to food access. We're building on the weekly meal model and providing, hopefully empowering communities to be able to cook meals themselves, feed themselves.
So I'd like to just take a second for each of us to tell you a little bit about ourselves, the experience we have, and why we're even interested in this issue. My name is Ben Feldman. I've been working with the Office of Sustainability at the school for the last 2 years to help actualize more garden spaces on campus and even develop an eco-village in our East Campus area where students can develop the skills to learn how to garden and also take that out into the community.
My name is Andy Post, and for the last 2 years, I've worked with Colorado Springs Food Rescue since its founding. And this is an organization that brings food that would otherwise be thrown away from grocery stores and restaurants to communities in need, and I'm excited about bringing that to Hillside Community Center.
I'm Sophie Javna. I am a co-founder of the CC Food Coalition and a community liaison for the collaborative. And I've had a lot of experience with CC students who have food initiatives and also community members, and bringing those two together to actualize their dreams. It's something I'm really excited about with our project for Hillside.
And I'm Jonah Goldman. I am a programs coordinator for the Collaborative for Community Engagement, as well as the founder of the Palette Project, which was really started as an urban farming initiative, and it's something that's really enabled us to gain expertise and managerial skill in terms of establishing and maintaining gardens. We started in the space behind one of our residential buildings and transformed it over the summer into a vegetable garden. And we were supported by our school and by our SGA to construct more hoop houses and bring this same tangible hands-on learning to Palmer High School, which is an urban campus located in downtown Colorado Springs. And so we were able to engage these students in art and in the hands-on applications of what they're learning in the class, which was a really great experience. And that is the sort of example of how we can really make a difference in the lives of our community that we hope to bring to communities in need like Hillside Community Center and other local public schools.
So to give you a rundown of our community partners, our model is to bring the engagement of students at Colorado College and combine it with the local, which, as we mentioned, is a food truck that we will be preparing the meals at and serving at Hillside Community Center. And again, that food will be subsidized by Colorado Springs Food Rescue. And for the education part of our programming, we're going to combine with the Flying Carrot, which is a UCCS-based organization. It's actually a veggie-powered truck, which they've provided education courses around Colorado Springs for 2 years now, and we're excited on building on their curriculum at Hillside Community Center. And then the Sunrise Garden Project is actually an existing community garden at Hillside Community Center, and we're excited about using that as a tangible connection to food with mobile meals.
While our mission is really to have an impact and change the problems that are in our community, engaging the student body is a really vital part of our project, and is actually how we plan to make this project, this model, financially sustainable, is through hosting and catering student-organized events on campus and selling food to students, at the same time getting them excited about the opportunity to engage in learning through the community service and the innovative solutions that we're coming up with. So ideally, we would have these events serve as a source of financial revenue for our project that would fund the model, and at the same time, get the students really interested and passionate about engaging in the community in meaningful ways.
So this is a budget that we've calculated for some of the startup costs for mobile meals. And as you can see, we are going to have 4 student interns that are focused on running the truck and also having community outreach with all of our community organizations. And then we have money budgeted for the supplementary food at Hillside Community Center, as well as food to run the soup truck at the student organized events. And again, we hope to collaborate with student organizations to run we hope to collaborate with student organizations on campus to cater events, and that's going to be part of our fundraising plan, as you can see. And then meal plan sign-over is a tradition that we've established with Bon Appetit that we hope to continue, as well as this event, Empty Bowls. We would love to continue this tradition. And finally, work study we see as a valuable opportunity to subsidize some of the internships that we'll be using to run the Mobile Meals program. So the ask is for $12,240, and again, that is some of the startup costs for the Mobile Meals program. And then using our diverse fundraising, we will be able to continue the financial sustainability of the project.
So our immediate goals are to hire 4 interns by the end of 7th block, host a mobile meal at Hillside, and finally partner with student group to cater an event on campus. This can all happen before the end of the year, and then we hope to continue throughout the summer, next year, and beyond.
This is a really exciting project because it's extremely relevant and we're addressing some of the needs in our community, and it's something that we can actually do right now. And it's such a adaptable, movable model that if we establish a successful program at Hillside Community Center, it can be moved to other community centers, local schools that are really high need. So we invite you to join us on this journey and help make this a reality. Because we know that it can really address some of the glaring issues that are present in terms of food security and food access. Thank you.
Pretty awesome, huh? And 9 minutes and 35 seconds, right on time. How's that for great? So judges, questions for the team?
Yeah, so yesterday I had the pleasure of sitting on a meeting with several of our community partners, including the folks at Hillside, and they're really receptive to this program. You know, there's a lot of things already going on at Hillside, including like exercise classes for senior citizens, Tuesday through Thursday. But I mean, there's a lot of people who come to this community center, and there's just a shortage of programming. I mean, on any given day, I was asking them how many students they have enrolled in their after-school and summer programs, and there's, I think, 75 elementary school students, 25 middle schoolers, and 15 high schoolers that are coming to this community center on a regular basis. And you know, there's just not so much the infrastructure to keep these kids engaged and busy all the time. So yes, they are excited about this program.
And also that part of that would be in our relationship, building our relationship with Hillside, we would hope to kind of feel out what it is that the community there needs. So we wouldn't go in there saying we're doing this cooking class and we're going to cook this meal every time. We would want to very much respond to the community there.
So can you elaborate on your relationship with the proposed partners? Is it just an initial discussion? I mean, how far along are you in your discussions with your community partners?
Yeah, can I pull up the community partner slide? So yeah, we are in really close contact with all of these partners here on the board. Sunrise Garden Project has a garden based at Hillside Community Center that is in place right now. So Sunrise Garden Project is kind of initially how we became connected to Hillside. And so I'd say that this is a young relationship, but you know, has a lot of potential. It's in its germinating phase right now, but it has a lot of potential to grow and is really promising.
And we've also met with all of these separate organizations, for example, Food Rescue, and had commitments with being able to use some of the food, as well as with Seeds. We've discussed sort of a pretty detailed budget on what it would cost to run the local food truck, and also consulting fees, and using the Seeds Community Kitchen for any prep work. And with the Flying Carrot, we met with Nuwani about having them come to our events and help out with the cooking classes. So we've started our relationships with each of these partners.
Have you
Yeah.
I didn't know if you knew that. They're often very similar programs.
Great. Yeah, I'd love to talk to you about that.
Suggestion.
Yeah, thank you.
Was it relevant word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I just have one. Can you guys flesh out a little bit more when it talks about supplementary food for meals at Hillside and it says number 34? So I know you mentioned, or I feel like I heard you said it was going to be weekly, but then there's 52 weeks a year. So what does that look like? How many people are you planning on feeding at a time? Or if you don't have those
Yeah.
logistics.
Yeah, we do. So that was budgeted for the cost to run the mobile meals for 1 year. So we were thinking it would be 34, and this was budgeted for this summer as well as the next academic school year. So that was once a week, and then with the supplementary food for the meals on campus, we were hoping to do that once blockly. So, and then, I mean, we'll get a better idea of the budgeting on what we need for supplementary food costs when we know how many people we're serving and what food we can get from Colorado Springs Food Rescue.
And I just want to commend you guys for your research on the neighborhood. I'm very familiar with it, and you guys were 100% accurate. So it looks like you did a lot of work on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Patrick, I have one more question.
Yep.
What are you thinking in terms of your succession plan for leadership? Because I know a couple of your seniors, and I don't know the rest.
Question was sustainability of leadership given the fact that students graduate.
That is definitely a valid concern, and our plan is with these 4 student interns not only to garner student support and volunteerism, but to have them actually hire the next set of interns for the upcoming year.
Great, thank you, great job. Next up is going to be Grits, and as they're staging into place, I wanted to take a few moments to introduce our judges. So we are pleased to have first Victoria Stone. Victoria, you want to stand up and at least so people can see who you are? Victoria is the Vice President of the Pikes Peak Justice and Peace Commission. The PPJ-PC is a community-based organization grounded in principles of nonviolence, sustainable living, social and economic justice. Victoria previously spent years doing street outreach for Urban Peak here in Colorado Springs. Victoria is currently the minority family advocate at Mission Possible. She helps minority youth navigate the court process and access needed resources and services, and she also has a 12-year-old daughter, Faith, and volunteers for a number of Colorado Springs community organizations. And we're going to have the judges at some point kind of give some comments, if they want, on why they're excited to be part of this panel and part of this process. So Victoria, again, we're thrilled that you're here. Next is David Coffey. David is an alumnus of Colorado College and has played a key role in founding the community kitchen here at CC. He's also the current executive director of the Recovery Cafe in Seattle, Washington. Recovery Cafe and its School for Recovery serve men and women who have suffered trauma, homelessness, addiction, and or mental health challenges. And in this loving community, men and women experience belonging, healing, and the joy of contributing. The Cafe and School for Recovery helps participants develop tools for maintaining recovery and stabilizing in mental and physical health, housing, relationships, and employment volunteer service. So, David, again, we're thrilled that you're here as well. And then finally is Heather Carroll. Heather is an alumna of Colorado College and a current Board of Trustee member of the Colorado College as well. Heather is the president and executive director of the Joseph Henry Edmondson Foundation, and the foundation provides funding for nonprofit organizations in the Pikes Peak region to support the welfare of children, the incapacitated, homeless, families, and the elderly, and the preservation and improvement of the environment, as well as arts, education, healthcare, community improvement, and charitable outreach. So we're thrilled to have Heather here as well. And again, and I will, for questions, I'll bring the mic over in the future, but if you have any just comments of why you're excited to be part of this process, we'd sure love to hear. Victoria, Heather?
I'm just really excited to be here tonight because actually when I did street outreach at Urban Peak, we would go to Shove Chapel, and that was one of the best places, I think, to get breakfast on a Sunday morning here in Colorado Springs, and I'm sad to see it be going, but I'm also excited that there's young people that are interested in making this a better community for everyone. So good luck to you all.
Good evening. In addition to loving Colorado College, the foundation for which I've served the past 17 years has been community partners with each of the organizations that the students are partnering with or proposing to partner with. We've also provided startup funding here in Colorado Springs for Urban Peak. We're working with Seeds Community Cafe. We provided startup funding for the Colorado Springs food rescue as well. So we're deeply passionate about the issue which the students are addressing. Thank you.
I come from a faith tradition that says, to whom much has been given, much will be expected. And I think a Colorado college education is a great, great gift. It certainly has made a difference in my life. And so I think it's really exciting and it's inspiring to me that CC is thinking about how we can give back even before you graduate.
Okay, grits. Grits are up.
Can't tell if is it on? I don't think it is.
No, it's a black screen.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hi, my name's Paige Clark.
I'm Ben Criswell.
I'm Caitlin Canty.
And we believe in the power of stories. Stories connect people, they foster understanding, and they can build strong communities. But unfortunately, the stories of our hungry, homeless, and impoverished populations aren't heard nearly enough, which is a shame for a number of reasons. But on a basic level, it's sad because these are some really compelling stories. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna show you some video clips of our friend Chet, who eats down at the Marion House pretty much every day. So I'll just let him introduce himself.
I still don't know if this is on.
Give it a shot.
I got a piece of apple stuck in I think I finally got it. I came here 21 years ago next month. And I've been working most of the time that I've been here. And I first came to the soup kitchen in somewhere in '95, I think it was, coming off and on ever since then. I got to do something though, because I can't work anymore. I slipped on the ice a few years ago and hurt my back, which I didn't realize how serious the injury was. And that's another thing that's real difficult to deal with, is all the time I have. And I could hardly walk at all. I mean, hardly walk across the room for a year and a half. And I got so much time on my hand and nothing to do with it. You know, I played dumb computer games and read and watch movies. And that's like really old. Doing those things is really old. I lost my apartment last July and now I'm homeless. Lost damn near everything I own.
Maybe benefit.
Well, it's not just Colorado Springs, that's everywhere.
No, yeah.
You know, you got the haves and the have-nots, and the people that have, they don't want to see the have-nots. They don't want them in the neighborhood, don't want to see them, don't want to admit they exist.
Right,
and,
yeah.
And that's just the way people are. It's probably been that way since there were people.
Yeah.
So this is why we're creating Grits. Grits is a publication that features the stories, poetry, and artwork of the homeless and hungry members of our population. It will start out as an insert with 5 thematic issues, similar to the sample publication you should have on your table. But eventually, we hope to see Grits grow into a multimedia entity. Our goals are fourfold. First is to provide creative programming and a meal to those in need. Second is to strengthen the relationship between Colorado College and the Colorado Springs community as a whole. Third is to archive our publication, enabling the integration of primary sources into sociological research. And fourth is to spur a fundamental shift in our attitudes towards these people, paving the way for lasting change.
So it's hard to know how many people are experiencing homelessness in our community, but as you can see, we're talking about thousands of people here in Colorado Springs that are either homeless or nearly homeless. And right now, there's significant room for improvement in our policies in regards to homelessness. And this is one of the reasons why we want to tell the stories like people like Crystal and Zoe.
So this is Crystal and her daughter Zoe. We've of course gotten permission from Crystal to tell a little bit of her story. But basically right now they live in a community shelter in downtown Colorado Springs. And Zoe's been pretty sick ever since they moved in, recently developed a case of lice. And the shelter that they are staying at works on a 3-strike system. So as of right now, Crystal's already got 2 strikes, which means that she's waiting on her last one until they're out on the streets. And whenever I asked her why she has 2 strikes, she told me it was because she got caught feeding Zoe after designated meal times. So this is just one story, and obviously it's way more complicated than this little snippet I'm telling you right now. But the point is that we as a community can do better when it comes to people like Crystal and Zoe, but that's never going to happen if we're not paying attention. So that's why we need to get their stories out there, but we can't do that alone.
So we're really looking forward to building some long-lasting relationships with some great organizations in the Springs, and based off their feedback, we think they're pretty excited to work with us too. Our Keystone partnership is going to be with the Marion House, just south of here. The Vice President for Poverty Reduction, Sam Edwards, has generously offered to provide us programming space, AV equipment, and a computer lab for our weekly workshops, which you can see right in here. And we're really filling a void for them because all of their past arts programming, such as the one that has produced this beautiful tapestry here, no longer exist because they've lost funding. Next, we have Colorado Springs Food Rescue, who has offered to donate food for our weekly workshops, which will cut down on our operating costs and also provide food that would have otherwise gone to waste.
So we as a group got to meet with John Weiss, who is the co-founder and publisher of the Colorado Springs Independent and also Colorado College alum. And he has graciously offered to step into a mentorship position for us and help us out with our printing and distribution. So the current vision for GRITS is an 8-page insert in the Colorado Springs Independent, which will be able to reach over 900 locations 5 times per year. And then once we've established ourselves as a publication, we also hope to expand into other media outlets as well. We want to have a radio segment on KRCC in which our contributors will be able to speak their own story, and that'll also be accompanied by a podcast. And we're also going to develop a website and a YouTube channel.
So how does Colorado College fit into this? First and foremost, we're really excited to strengthen the relationship between Colorado College and Greater Colorado Springs through meaningful partnerships with these community organizations like the Marion House. We will have 2 Colorado College interns and 2 Marion House interns working side by side on the weekly workshops as well as the general layout and design for each publication. It'll be work experience for all of us. And we've been talking to the sociology department, and they've voiced interest in integrating some of GRITS into some sociology classes such as art and society. And lastly, we will have a library archive space in Tut, where we will be able to use these stories, use GRITS as primary sources for research on issues like homelessness, hunger, and poverty locally.
So you can take a look at our timeline here, and we're pretty excited to secure funding and move forward next block. By the end of the semester, we will have hired our interns. This summer, we will begin our weekly workshops, and we plan to have the first edition of GRITS published on September 30th.
So for the first year, these are going to be our operating costs. Intern stipends for the 4 interns, art supplies, meals, the printing and distribution, which is greatly lower than it would have been if we weren't partnering with the Independent, and a little domain fee for our website. But then in the future, after we've been established for a little while, we can obtain funding through other outlets in the community, like meal plan sign-overs, empty bowls, as the last group was talking about. But we'd also love to have fundraising dinners centered around each issue. And we think we can get Blockley Sociology Department funding, as well as funds from the Student Call Center, calling alumni and getting the word out and getting everybody excited, and IndieGive.
So right now, we are asking for a total of $13,860, which will be enough to cover our first year operating costs. And then after that, we believe that our other revenue sources will be enough to keep the project running.
We see 3 transformative dimensions in GRITS. First is for our contributors, empowering them to tell their stories and letting them know that their stories matter and that people want to hear them. Second is that GRITS will provide a platform for advocacy around issues of hunger and homelessness in the Colorado Springs community. And third, on the community level, where people's general awareness increases, leading to a shift in understanding and meaningful policy change. Thank you, and we look forward to any questions you have.
Awesome job, and 9 minutes and 40 seconds. I just cannot believe how well you are all using your time. Judges, questions?
I know we only have 5 minutes, but can you talk just a little bit more about the policy changes that you are anticipating?
So as we said a little bit, there's a lot of room for improvement. We haven't specifically identified certain policy outcomes that we want from this. The main goal is to increase awareness, and through that, just create a better community for all of Colorado Springs. And we just think that policy change comes from a shift in awareness, from a shift in how you think.
I think just to name a few things that we see happening around that could definitely be improved are busing homeless folks into other cities, and the loitering legislature that has been pretty controversial, and the list goes on. But
And further, I know the mayor right now currently has a plan to eradicate homelessness among veterans, I think in the next 3 years or so. I mean, we could see that expanding to the entire homeless population of our city.
Lots of opportunity.
Are there any more tangible takeaways for some of the participants? So even though people are telling their stories and that is very liberating, what kind of is their biggest takeaway?
Totally. I think that part of the really valuable aspects, or one of the really valuable aspects of our workshops, is that contributors will be gaining soft skills and editing skills, learning how to publication layouts work, learning how to teamwork skills, collaboration, and any other.
And just having a good time, being a part of a community. We talked to a few of the patrons at the Marion House, and one thing that most of them said was that a lot of the reason they're there, obviously, of course, for the meal, but it's to socialize. It's a big deal for them on the social front.
And they'll be getting a meal, of course.
And a meal.
Guys, I love the concept of people's stories. You know, there's a Native American saying that says, when we share our true story, we create a sacred space. And I think what you guys, it's absolutely true. We got to break down those things. I'm curious if what thinking you've done about setting your interns up for success. In my experience, if you want people to share their story, you have to establish trust and create a safe place. And so what kind of training or things have you thought through to help your interns be successful in putting these workshops on?
yeah, that's a really good point. We for sure want to continue to work with Sam, who we're very happy is here today, in what kind of training that we'll have to do for our interns. There's definitely going to be a really important meal companion component in their job description, where they'll be required to go down to the Marion House and actually eat a meal and talk to people, and establish relationships and trust with our contributors, for sure.
Okay, great. Give it up for Grits. Okay, and next up is Ponderosa Pastries. And while they are staging into place, Dave has some things to share about the Collaborative for Community Engagement.
Yes, in the times I've met other folks and explained my position since I've been here, I realize how much of a mouthful the Collaborative for Community Engagement at Colorado College is. But I did want to share a little bit about our office because we had a number of criteria when we started this project, when we explained to the teams, when we were calling for ideas from these groups about what we were looking for with these projects. And some have already come up tonight, right? Sustainability, that this isn't just kind of some great ideas that as people graduate will then kind of go away or fritter out, right? And one way that we wanted to do that is to make sure that these programs and projects will be integrated into the Collaborative for Community Engagement, that we have a commitment to work with these teams going forward. So a little bit about the Collaborative. We work to kind of bring together and facilitate relationships, curricular and co-curricular learning. So kind of how do you bridge that learning inside and outside of the classroom through partnerships with community organizations, through ongoing efforts, right? So that was another piece of the criteria, right, is that these teams will be tied into ongoing efforts in the community. You have to have a strong partnership for some guaranteed or hopeful success going forward. So the Collaborative for Community Engagement, we work with a number of different offices around campus. We work with faculty, we work with students to build partnerships that can be effective, that can create a real impact. We work with faculty who might be new to civic engagement as a pedagogical tool to share some best practices, to create those partnerships, to work with them. But we also work with faculty that are already doing this kind of work to make that sustainable, to offer any resources that we can to be a support for this kind of work. Our office also oversees a number of student organizations that work both in areas of hunger, housing, and poverty, but also in education, around health. So any kind of social justice-based student organizations, we oversee a lot of those through our office. And we also just try to offer a pretty broad array of opportunities for students to get engaged, both kind of long-term, short-term, one-time volunteering, but in ways that can build off of one another, right? So to connect both that learning inside and outside the classroom, but also to connect those individual experiences so it's not just a one-off, that it can be integrated into student learning, into their own interests, into their passions, and into their kind of personal, professional, and educational development. So I think when I first started, I would have said, well, we're the office that oversees all the community engagement, right? But I've learned since I've been here that there are a lot of those efforts going across Colorado College. So we're sort of an office that tries to help kind of bring a lot of those offices together to the table and coordinate them, work with them, and offer a piece of that and make these partnerships and projects sustainable going forward and be a resource to all those folks both on campus and off to create some real impact, right? So ready to go?
Can you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll turn it over to Ponderosa Pastries.
Hi, everyone. We're having a little projector problem right now. Pull it off the screen. Do you know how? Oh, there you go. Okay, wait. Does that work? Okay, cool. We got it. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming out for Empty Bowls and helping us with the soup project. I'm Maddie.
I'm Kira.
I'm Claire. And our idea is a Colorado College student-run community cafe called Ponderosa Pastries. We believe that having a meal or just a cup of coffee is the best way to bring people together. We want to create real connections with our community members, and we think that having a community cafe will be the perfect venue to showcase people in our community's voice through the venue of art. As a safe ride driver, I drive people downtown, and
I see a woman every night, just as last night, in 0-degree weather. I always wonder, what is her story? How did she get here to Colorado Springs? Is she a native? But most of all, I wonder, how can I give her a warm, safe, dry place to stay, just as I provide that service for Colorado College students? 1/5 of Colorado College youth are living in poverty. I think that as a CC student, I feel really disconnected with the greater Colorado Springs community, and I see this cafe as the perfect way to change that dynamic. You may have recognized the Keith Haring painting in the previous slide. Keith Haring was a great example of an artist for our project because he did a lot of quick art that showcased the societal issues that were happening at that time, specifically the HIV and AIDS epidemic. We want to engage the Colorado Springs youth through art, regardless of your class, your race, your gender, and transcend those boundaries by bringing people together. So we hope Ponderosa Pastries will become that space. Seeds Community Cafe is located in downtown Colorado Springs. It provides meals on a pay-what-you-can basis, and we hope to bring that space to the evening time with Ponderosa Pastries. We can sit together with coffee and pastries made by us, and we can listen to people from our community stories.
So in order to bring about this vision of a student-run cafe to connect students with the larger community, we want to partner with Seeds Community Cafe. They only serve lunch, so their space is open in the evenings, and we've talked to Lynn about being able to use their space in exchange for grant writing on their behalf. So food is one of the basic necessities. You need it for health and nutrition, but also it helps bring people together. It helps build community, and it's part of culture and sustainability. And so we want to build on the legacy of the community kitchen by continuing to provide food and food education. In the seed space in the evenings, we will utilize volunteer efforts to make baked goods, which we'll serve at these cafe nights, and also we'll sell them at other locations to provide revenue to support our arts and food programs. So not only will this contribute to the financial sustainability of our project, but it also brings people together around making and eating food together. By selling our pastries, we'll be building a presence in the community. We'll be able to raise awareness. Every bite of one of our baked goods will serve to remind people of the efforts being undertaken to combat poverty and hunger in the Colorado Springs community. So not only is food a basic necessity, but also self-expression. Numerous studies have shown that doing art is good for people's personal and mental well-being. In addition, as so well articulated by the previous group, art helps people tell their stories, and telling stories is how we connect with one another. It's how we can relate to one another. So in that sense, it builds community. In addition, art is a powerful tool for enacting positive change in our society. It helps us take really big problems like hunger and homelessness and think about them in new ways to find creative solutions. So that's why we want to focus on Arts for Social Change programs because it helps empower community voice, and its purpose is to bring about meaningful change in the world. So each semester, our arts program will center on a particular issue or theme. For instance, the first semester's theme might be food deserts and food justice in Colorado Springs, which we will explore through a variety of projects and events.
We will develop our Arts for Social Change programs by building on examples successfully piloted by other organizations. One example is Sentimental Studios in Denver, which utilizes visual arts to provide creative alternatives to youth suicide. Another really inspiring example is Theater of the Oppressed, NYC, which aims to activate communities and creatively challenge systems of oppression by helping people tell their stories of real-world problems. So we want to use Arts for Social Change and Theater of the Oppressed to address issues of poverty and homelessness in Colorado Springs. In addition, the final major component of our project is peer-to-peer mentorship for Colorado College students and Colorado Springs youth. There will be 3 semester-long internships for students to manage the baking program, the Arts for Social Change program, and the financial side of the project. And each intern will be partnered with a junior intern from Urban Peak Youth Center. Urban Peak helps assist youth in the community who are experiencing issues of poverty and homelessness, and we want to sort of assist them in their mission. By working with these youth, students will develop close relationships with their partners over the course of a semester, and they will be engaged together in skills building and leadership development. And we hope that this program will help empower young people in Colorado Springs to make a difference in their community.
So to fundraise, our bakery will sustain the arts and baking program through revenue of selling the treats. And there will also be a donation jar at weekly art events, which will hopefully bring in some income. But our main fundraiser will be a gala at the end of each semester. It'll serve as a culmination of the internships. And the first portion of the gala will be a meal, and then the second, it'll be open to the public for free. And it'll be more like a party than a gala at the end of it, because there'll be bands playing and people enjoying art and just getting to know each other. It'll serve as a way to raise funds while also bringing the community together over food and art. But most importantly, it'll raise awareness and spread information about an important social issue. In order to maximize our potential for success, we'll be partnering with 2 local organizations, Seeds and Urban Peak. In exchange for use of space in a kitchen, we'll be writing grants for Seeds, which will help strengthen them financially. But we'll also benefit from this because they already have an established relationship with the community, which will be really helpful for us. And as we mentioned before, there'll be junior internships with Urban Peak, and these interns will gain valuable skills through the internship, which will help them gain future employment, while also CC students will benefit from getting to know them, and the Urban Peak will benefit from this relationship as well. And the interns are instrumental in running the cafe, but volunteers are also crucial. And in order to get enough volunteers, we'll be partnering with the Food Coalition at CC to get volunteers, and we'll also partner with other CC student groups to put on weekly events. Our long-term vision is a community cafe somewhere on campus or near campus. And our dream space would have an industrial kitchen that all the Food Coalition groups could use, and also local community organizations. This place would hold gallery and studio space for arts, as well as the community kitchen on Sundays, which would bring back a long tradition of serving our community. Our ask is for $9,500 as seed money. Each intern will be paid $1,000 a semester, so $6,000 a year, and we hope to fund the Urban Peak Junior internships through the Big Idea Challenge, which we're also competing in. The seed space is in exchange for grant writing, so that's free. And the bakery and arts will eventually be self-sustaining, but for right now, we need $3,500 to get off the ground. Thanks for your time.
Great job, and 10 minutes right on the mark. Judges, questions?
Guys, great presentation. Something that I heard in your presentation and echo in your presentation, especially when you talked about seeing that homeless woman, and then it's echoed in your proposal, which I just love this line. Each bite of pastry or bread will remind members of the college that we live in the context of a larger city where people suffer from food insecurity and homelessness every day. What a gift that would be to this very privileged community to be reminded about that. And I also think your concept of breaking bread together is so powerful. I love it. One thing I'd like to hear you talk a little bit more about is what you've done, other than the three of you, to feel what interest there is from the student body to take part in something like this.
I've actually talked to a numerous amount of my friends, and I at least have a list of 10 people who want to volunteer, and I have a friend who is willing to help bake us cookies for the audience. I just feel like people have been really excited about the idea who we've told so far.
I also think that one of the big challenges that the community kitchen has been facing is a lack of volunteer support. And part of that, I think, is that it's a hard community to delve into. Most of the people who come right now are middle-aged men, which is great. I go every week and I love talking to them and getting to know them, but I think that can be somewhat intimidating for students, which is part of why we want to specifically focus on engaging with youth, because we think that that's something that students can get really excited about. And obviously we know that there are a lot of students who are passionate about food and art, and engaging with youth can be a really valuable opportunity.
Okay, I have a three-part question. I was looking at your slides and it said that volunteers will get to learn your secret recipes. Since you're going to be at Seeds, does that mean you're going to know what's in the kale salad? Okay, and then my actual for real question. I'm going to get that recipe one day, Lynn. I'm going to get it. So I wondered where, eventually it sounds like you guys are going to turn a profit if this all works out. So where would your excess funds go? And then kind of along the same line, if people are commuting in the evening and getting baked goods and coffee, it sounds like some people are paying for it. Is there opportunities for people that cannot afford cookies and coffee to enjoy that fellowship?
Yeah, absolutely. To answer the second part first, it's sort of the same model as Seed, so it's pay what you can, but on site, when we have the cafe, we won't be charging for the baked goods or coffee. But when we sell the baked goods off-site on campus, then students will pay for it to get revenue. I don't know if we've thought as much about excess funding yet. I think we're mostly working on sustaining our own, but we were thinking of having classes at the garden space in our long-term plan, so maybe we could go to that, or I'm sure we could find a really good cause for it.
And I have a logistical question. So your intention is to work with the youth that are being served at Urban Peak, correct? And is that correct? And having fellowship with them at the Seeds Community Cafe? Did I understand that?
Yes.
I see some.
Do you want to? Was there more to that question, or?
Well, in the other piece, can you just explain quickly the Urban Peak internship? Not from your perspective, but are you talking about working with the youth? Are those interns actually the homeless youth at Urban Peak?
Yes, so we have 3 intern positions at CC, the baker, the arts, and the finance intern, and we would like to mirror those internships at Urban Peak. So we would have 3 Urban Peak students who would work side by side with a CC intern, and we hope to get funding for the Urban Peak youth through the Big Idea Challenge, which is happening in April.
And just to sort of follow up, we are hoping to engage with Urban Peak youth at the cafe space at Seeds, but part of the arts programming is that it is exportable, so we could bring it to their space. It wouldn't have to necessarily stay at Seeds.
Okay. Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Awesome job. So one of the things that I mentioned is just how pleased I've been to see the teams engaging with so many community partners. And I hope you recognize. And so Sam is here from the Marion House. Lynn is here from Seeds. Who else do we have here? Jeff from Food Rescue. internet, yeah, IHN or Family Promise now, and you're going to hear about that partnership. And City of Colorado Springs, Amy Cox. And so the center is actually a city-run facility, so a partnership with the city, so many different partnerships. And I wanted to particularly also recognize Michael Hannigan. Michael has been, so many of you know, founder of Pikes Peak Community Foundation, a CC alum, deep connections to the CC community. And as he's kind of stepped away from a day-to-day job at Pikes Community Foundation, has been really active with all of the teams and really has been a social entrepreneur in residence with us. And part of this partnership is with the Innovation Institute, and so I was asked to make some brief comments. The Innovation Institute is a strategic theme of the college, focused on really the theme of innovation, of taking ideas, putting them into action for real results, for real impact in the world. And I hope you get a sense of that coming about here. The Innovation Institute is in a stage of rolling out and engaging with faculty, with students, with alums, into the community, and really thrilled with the experience that we've been having. And part of it is to really focus on weaving this theme of innovation, not just through the program of Colorado College, but to helping students be able to translate the value that they have from this liberal arts education into what they're going to do in the next chapter of their lives, as they really apply the themes of innovation and creativity and kind of startup-style creativity in the next chapter of their lives to make a difference in the world. And so this has been one dimension of the Innovation Institute in partnership with the collaborative. Coming next, and you heard one team just mention, is another startup competition called The Big Idea. And last year we had a number of teams kind of go through. We have 10 teams plus the 4 here, so 14 teams total working their innovative startup ideas. And on April the 7th, we'll have this next step in the process. And again, you're going to see a spectrum of everything from kind of internet software style startups to social, nonprofit, make a difference in the world. But in all cases, it's really about an idea into action for impact. It's just how you measure that impact is the difference. Today, our focus is really measuring that impact in much more local, social impact kinds of terms around the themes of homelessness and food insecurity. But again, the constant theme through all of it is ideas into action for impact in the world. Next up is the Family Center.
Hello, my name is Sierra Ulbar.
And I'm Sienna Fawnin, and today we're proposing our idea for the Family Day Center, which will serve as a home base and permanent solution for families facing homelessness.
Sienna and I are both transfers, and one of the first things we realized coming to Colorado Springs is the large homeless population that we have in our community. We felt impelled to do something about this. When the Soup Challenge presented itself, we thought it was the perfect venue to pursue social change in our community while engaging Colorado College students. We wanted this project to stem not only from our passions and interests, more importantly, from community voice and homeless need, just using our resources to make this community vision possible. We wanted a project that would address homelessness at its core, rather than just a Band-Aid solution. Our Family Center does just that.
We began with the idea of the Family Center after talking to several community organizations that have worked with homeless populations for several decades. And repeatedly we heard that a day center was an area of service that our community lacked. A day center is a home base for individuals experiencing homelessness, providing them with a safe place to go during the day, as well as basic services and programming such as case management.
One of the organizations we talked to is Family Promise, which is a local nonprofit who's worked with the local homeless community for over 2 decades. And we'd like to point out that all these photos we're using in our presentation today are real families that Family Promise has worked with. Their mission is to help homeless and low-income families achieve sustainable independence. They assist with basic needs, such as temporary shelter, and connecting them with resources and employment.
Family Promise focuses on families specifically because though they may not be the typical face of homelessness, they actually represent over a third of Colorado Springs' homeless population. In fact, there are currently 2,500 homeless students in the El Paso public school system.
While the homeless population is clearly a population in need, there's not sufficient community resources to fit these unique needs. From child-friendly space to quiet meeting areas, families need a special place for them to gain the resources they need. These families often feel unsafe or uncomfortable in general resource centers and feel disconnected from other general resources that address homelessness. This environment affects meetings and interactions with caseworkers. If the area is not specifically designed for children, then how can you make an evaluation properly?
Family Promise has been extremely effective and caring in their providing of these invaluable services for homeless families, and they have a myriad of success stories. One of those success stories is here with us today, Kat, who is a single mother of 6. We would like to share her story as an example of the amazing impact that Family Promise has had on local families. There has been no greater pain than looking at my children and telling them I didn't know where we were going when we left home for the last time. I felt I had failed them. I was terrified. Family Promise saved us. Family Promise has not just put a roof over our heads and kept food on our plates. They have provided us all with a new sense of hope, a new foundation to build upon, and a family. For the first time in a long time, I can focus on goals for our future, rather than just surviving the day. In just 3 months, I have returned to the confident, whole woman I was so many years ago. I am no longer defeated. I have never felt so supported, loved, and safe as I have with Family Promise.
While Family Promise is doing amazing work helping families like Kat's, they unfortunately have an extremely limited capacity in their current operations. They are only able to serve 4 to 6 families at a time. This is where our Family Day Center will be a real game changer. With the center, we can expect to be able to help about 25 families at a time, therefore multiplying the positive impact that we can have upon the community.
This is currently IHN's space and our Family Promises space, and we hope to expand it as a platform for their good work. Our proposal is through partnership with Colorado College and Family Promise, we will create a Family Day Center enriched through student-run programming, which will support long-term solutions for families facing homelessness. This day center will act as a home base for homeless families, including basic needs services such as laundry, a kitchen area, a safe space for children, a warm space to go during the day, as well as a phone number and address, which is essential for gaining employment. We also will have various programming and resource services, such as a on-site case manager to work with families on a regular basis. And we were really envisioning this acting as a one-stop shop for homeless families and being a hub for community partners so they can organize, different community partners can organize meetings with the families so they don't have to deal with the added stress and hassle of transportation when many of them don't have access to regular transportation.
Colorado College students will be responsible providing the programming for this day center. They'll provide innovative programming for both children and adults, with the adult programming focusing on finance classes, resume building, and computer skills. We believe this programming is essential to breaking the cycle of homelessness and allowing people to gain the skills needed to get jobs and employment. CC students are passionate individuals who come with so many unique interests. By matching these specific interests in students to a community that has a need for programming, we feel like this is a perfect fit.
We also feel that CC students will gain immensely from this partnership. We think this is a really powerful and impactful way to connect with the community that we live in. Students will gain leadership experience and be able to develop programming along the lines of their interests. It will also expose them
to the vibrant and impactful nonprofit network in Colorado Springs, opening up many career opportunities for a lifetime of positive impact.
This stage of our plan is a pilot program, which will last for 6 months, allowing us to begin assisting families and gain feedback on what services are most needed in the community. For this pilot program, Catholic Charities has graciously agreed to let us use their space in the Marion House. They have unused space for programming in which CC students can fill that niche for programming. After this initial stage, we will move into more permanent center, which will exist as a home base for these families. Through the success of our pilot program and support of Colorado College, we will have more leverage to secure funding through grants and donations. I'd also like to point out that we have a letter of intent from Family Promise and Catholic Charities of our partnership.
Family Promise has been fundraising for this day center extensively, and they have already secured a substantial amount of funding, indicating both the importance and commitment of it, as well as community interest in this project. Our ask represents the amount of money needed to get this pilot program off the ground with full-time programming. We have included funding for employees, including a part-time case manager who will be able to meet with families on a regular basis, 2 part-time student internships who will direct programming as well as oversee CC volunteers, as well as office and programming supplies, laptops, and interview clothing to help people gain employment, as well as basic needs supplies such as laundry, diapers, kitchen supplies, and furniture, coming to a total of $19,100.
Our Family Day Center is an extremely effective way to help the most people using the least resources. It provides a long-term solution to homelessness, giving people the tools they need to find jobs and housing, thus breaking the cycle of homelessness. The idea of a Family Day Center is supported by the community voice and local organizations who have worked with homeless populations for over 2 decades. This long-term partnership between Colorado College, Family Promise, and Catholic Charities creates consistency and resources families can depend on.
This Family Day Center is the most impactful and far-reaching way to intervene in the cycle of homelessness in order to keep families together. Colorado College has the opportunity to make a real change in our community. We implore you to make this possible. Thank you.
This is Kat's adorable daughter, by the way.
Questions?
Guys, fabulous, fabulous. You know, I love something about CC, which is why climb a hill if there's a mountain next door? I mean, this is so ambitious. I love it. And whatever you guys do with your lives, you're not dreaming small dreams, and that's awesome. I think you're right. This absolutely would be a game changer if you want to get traction on ending homelessness. One thing I'm curious if you've thought about, I think you said you were envisioning 25 families. I was wondering, so word gets out in a month 3 when you have 50 families show up on your door. How are you going to do intake for the, I think it's such a great idea, so many people are going to show up. Have you thought through how do people get in?
Well, Family Promise currently deals with that issue, having only been able to accept 4 families at a time, and they have some sort of waiting list procedure, and they refer families that they can accept to other resources that might be available. But we're hoping that we will be able to serve a larger portion of the need with this day center.
Yeah, and a great part about combining forces with other organizations is that we have the support of, and the community that's familiar with Family Promise, and we have the community that's familiar with Catholic Charities. So our real intention is to really make this possible for a space to bring together both of these communities and reach a larger base of homeless families.
I agree with David. This is a very ambitious undertaking, and I applaud you for it. Just to clarify, on the budget, the case manager positions, are those IHN employees, or are they CC?
The case manager is a Family Promise hired employee, a professional case manager. We're allotting, it'll be like a 0.5 full-time position for half a year, is where that number comes from.
Then we also have 2 Colorado College student internships as well.
And then what's the timeline for the capital campaign for the day center? I mean, I know the pilot is 6 months, but in terms of an actual day center, do you have a sense of that timeline? Or
We're hoping at the end of those 6 months, with the demonstrated need and success of the pilot program, sometime by the end of 2016.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Are any components of the day center actual childcare? Or have you guys kind of fleshed that out? Because I think that's a huge problem with homeless families, is where do you leave your children even when you go to a job interview?
Yeah, the idea for the child programming part of it is to have a space, preferably in the same room. So while a parent is having a meeting with a caseworker, out of the corner of their eye, they can watch their children engaging in art classes and other forms of maintenance with children. So we would have a form of child programming, more of keeping them busy so their parents can get proper training and the resources they need. So not directly child care, because we know that has a lot of legal issues too, if you need a proper licensed professional. So we'd be avoiding that by giving the parents an opportunity to deal with their caseworker and have their meeting, but also keep their child in the same space, which we feel is really valuable.
Maybe you could just differentiate why the family promise model and how this is slightly different, and why they have a capacity issue that you're helping to alleviate.
Well, currently the family promise model is a really amazing network of churches and other community partners that's able to house families during the night and provide them with a meal. And while this day center is not a housing solution, we hope that we're going to be able to impact more families and provide resources for more families to build a path to more sustainable housing solutions. So we think ultimately we'll be able to assist more families actually get housing and jobs.
Great, thank you so much. Family Day Center. So again, I hope you can get a sense of why this has been such an inspiring and rewarding thing to be able to have a role. And I know that everybody that's been able to be involved with these student teams has just been inspired and felt a privilege to be part of this process. Now we actually have the challenging part of the process of making some decisions around funding. And so we will be back in a few moments, and you guys don't miss us while we're gone.
Alrighty, is that everything? All right, am I waiting for this to turn on? Should I go?
Yeah, I guess so. Before everyone escapes.
All right, before everyone starts taking off or whatever. So my name's Erica, and I helped kind of put on this event, and that's kind of how I've been involved in the Food Coalition and the Soup Project. And so I just really quickly wanted to thank some people. Please jump in if I forget anyone. But thank you all for coming. It's awesome to see such a diverse group of attendees and so many wonderful people from the community. And a big thank you to all the people that donated bowls and silent auction items, which if you haven't checked out, please do. There's some awesome stuff. And then a big thank you to Chef John from Bon Appetit. Yeah, some yummy soups, and I got to roll up my sleeves and help out, which was a lot of fun. And then hopefully I'm not forgetting anyone. And thanks to also the student bands that will be playing. I'll mention those. Should I mention them now?
not, oh, oh, there we go. And all these lovely people. Perfect.
So my name is Jess, and I'm one of the interns with the Soup Project at Colorado College. And the community kitchen this year has faced a multitude of challenges since learning that on May 10th of this year we will be closing our doors at Shove Chapel. One of the biggest hurdles was assuring our neighbors who rely on the Sunday meal that they are still valued as part of our CC community. As we continue to foster these relationships, it has been inspiring to watch friendships forge and conversations grow between CC students and the greater community each week. I believe I speak for all when I say that these relationships have challenged stereotypes, widened perspectives, and united great minds to come up with innovative and creative solutions to food justice in our area. Now, thanks to the $20,000 Soup Challenge, the Soup Project is thrilled to extend our reach. Beyond providing a meal, CC will now be able to address the root causes of poverty, hunger, and homelessness in the local community.
Hi, I'm Zoe. I'm a sophomore, and I'm a memberships coordinator for the Soup Project. And I've been really excited about rethinking the way that students engage both on campus and in the community. So in addition to mobilizing students around the challenges of poverty, hunger, and homelessness, we are also connecting students with the solutions through the local food movement. And the Food Coalition has played a critical role in this mission. In turn, the Soup Project has also laid the foundation for the Food Coalition's success. This new coalition-based model aims to bring a diverse group of people and voices into the conversation around what it means to feed our community. Whether it may be rescuing food or harvesting a tomato for the first time on the CC farm, these experiences and opportunities shape the way that we see our food system. As the Food Coalition moves into this exciting time of change, we are excited about extending these opportunities to individuals, groups, and community members in these new and dynamic ways. For individuals, we are reaching out to incoming freshmen to get them involved about and interested in the local food movement, and hopefully they'll lend a hand. And then for student groups, our focus is on strong Tiger leadership, both on campus and in the community. And for our community partnerships, where we aim to connect student passion and skill to meet this local need. We're also really excited about the knowledge that we can gain from all of you in forging these reciprocal partnerships. So we'll be reaching out to you throughout the rest of the semester with updates and more information about how you can get or stay involved. And we hope that each of you will make your mark on this exciting new chapter for the Food Coalition. Thanks.
But don't think you're off the hook, because for the rest of the year, the Soup Kitchen is going to remain open in Shove Chapel on the CC campus. And we would love to see all of your faces there, so please, please come check it out at least one time this year. We open at 9 o'clock in the morning, at which time we have coffee and pastries and facilitate some sort of social justice discussion as well as an arts project. Then we serve a really delicious meal at 11:30, which usually lasts until about 1. So please come show your face. We'd love to see CC students there, as well as members from our community. Additionally, for CC students, in the carriage house on Wednesdays, from 4 o'clock until 7 o'clock in the evening, we have a communal space where people interested in issues of food justice and leadership can come convene and have a quiet space to work on different ideas revolving around social and food justice.
Just one more quick thing to say. So the judges should be back in about 10 minutes with their decision, and then afterward, I hope you join us for a little reception with some music and dessert and the silent auction that I mentioned earlier. Thanks.
I apologize that it took us a little while to make some decisions. There's been a lot of debate because we've had such great ideas, and we heard so many wonderful arguments and great projects tonight. We're pretty much ready to make an announcement. We're filling out a few giant checks in the other room. So if everyone could kind of come back in, we'll be making the funding announcements in just a minute. All right, our judges and Patrick and our checks are on the way back in right now. But just to build out the suspense a little bit longer, I want to thank everyone again for coming tonight. Thank all of our teams, all the partners, for all the work they put into this. It really is so impressive how far these projects came in such a short amount of time. So just incredibly impressed, and thank you for all your hard work. And here comes the prize at the end of it. So thank you again, everyone.
Oh, I have some good news. Everybody wins. That's good news number one. No. Good news number two is the 20,000 turned into 41,000. And so we're pleased to be able to provide funding for all of the teams. So first up is Mobile Meals, $12,000. So yeah, come on up, 'cause again, it's pretty fun to be able to be a part of.